is a garden of memory, and it's nonfiction. I'm standing in an airless library of the dead, rows and rows behind endless glass cases up to the ceilings. Ambient music echoes against thick marble walls. People old and young stand mesmerized, watching and listening to musicians play electric guitars and electric pianos in crevices and corners. Silver urns surround them. A child dressed in a pink tutu sits, small legs spread in a V on the cold floor, enraptured to the whale sounds emitting out of an oboe. It's Saturday, June 21st, about 6 p.m., and I'm spending the longest day of daylight in a columbarium. This is the Garden of Memory, an annual summer solstice event at Oakland's Chapel of Chimes, a benefit for Mills and MFA in music. I expect dark when I enter through the tall, ornate Gothic-style archways. In actuality, the entire building is crowned by glass and the soft light of a greenhouse, one that might hold tomatoes instead radiates downward over Cremain. A large engraving above reads, "Our soul waited for the Lord." A volunteer hands me a map while I look upward. I thank her, but I leave it up unopened, allowing my curiosity to lead me from musician to musician. Second-generation goth kids wish down, squeezing past me as I ascend a stone stairway made for small people. Goths still love a good cemetery, I think, and wonder why there aren't more here. I had some goth friends in high school back in the late 80s, when people who powdered their face white and wore striped stockings had things worse than insults thrown at them. They would have enjoyed this event, a good place for a memorable teenage date. The higher up I tiptoe in the building, the lighter it gets. I shuffle along in search of the next esoteric instrument. The music is non-linear, coming from corners and rooms that I haven't entered yet, and I look around for something to anchor me. A phrase etched in gold makes a rainbow shape in the archway above. "I will not leave you comfortless." The scent of myrrh or sage drifts gently by, familiar scents of childhood Easter services at the Armenian Apostolic Church. Then inevitably, I think of my father. His grave, traditional marble, lies at the Cypress Lawn Cemetery, in or near other Armenians, a plot for my mother ready next to him. I haven't visited in a long time. His grave has left me comfortless. It is on the second floor that I find myself in the airless library. Cremains fill thick bronze books, dead relatives leaning on one another, me leaning on them. 20 or so people mill about, leaning and listening too, and I realize that the dead outnumber the living in this room. Panic rises hard, pressing into my throat. I want to run. I find myself edging towards the exit sign, towards another hallway, a fish trying to find water. Garden doors open. Were open the whole time and show me outside to a terracotta-lined terrace. I take a deep breath, then another. I finally open the map to find that I have just left the heart of the chapel. The body knows how to find air. I stuff the map in my purse and follow a breeze that brushes my cheek past name after name through the tall beige columns. I'm struck by the joyful mood around me. A food truck outside feels like a mockery. Isn't the sunshine and music only for the living? I leave for dinner and don't intend to come back. I get a hand stamp anyway. After a long walk down Piedmont Avenue and some mediocre Thai food, I inexplicably head back toward the columbarium. I re-enter the building because hundreds of people find this an acceptable event, and I want to know why. The building itself has unbelievable acoustics for the music, but why are hundreds of participants okay with being so close to death, and do the dead mind? A woman next to me peers into the glass cases, taking each name in slowly. Dr. Anthony Childers, 1898 to 1982. A long life, a doctor, a faceless white coat, happy to have visitors after a long time. Childers, an English name, gone over 30 years. All the metal circular flower holders in the room are empty. I decide they are glad to be looked at, notice these lives long forgotten. Guilt washes up like an old annoying friend. I should visit my dad's grave sometime soon. When Dad was dying, he asked to be cremated. It's cheaper, he implored in his new raspy voice. The oxygen gone from a 45-year-long habit of smoking cigarettes and the resulting lung cancer. My sister and I wouldn't have it. The idea seemed disrespectful. We would afford a burial no matter what, a place to lay flowers and remember him. He would not disappear into the wind. But funerals are a business, my dad insisted. Finally, I enter a room with flowers and I walk past a tall cream-colored marble wall. The urns are sealed tight under individual slabs, protected forever from peering eyes and the elements outside. Florence B. Rose, 1920 to 2012, teacher, educator, a stunning lady, always in our hearts, always in our minds. This is the grief of the living, always in our minds. Norma Fockett, who died in 1980, had fresh flowers in a circular holder. I wonder if she had a daughter who misses her. Some plaques are empty, like Peggy Lynch, 1932 to 2012, who waits for someone to join her. I walk past each, forgetting the discordant music for a while, a collector of stories in this strange garden where ferns and palm trees are islands of relief, among all this marble and stone. The orange and blue wires, unnatural intruders in the garden, make maps along the floors and lead to a masked and robed guitar players. In one hallway, marble floors turn almost seamlessly into cream carpet, and I brush up against three young men who look everywhere but ahead. The one in the striped pastel polo shirt says, "This is mesmerizing." This is where I find a glass shadow box filled with superhero Pez dispensers. Christina Margaret Lim, October 11th, 1960 to October 2012. Next to a Kim Possible mousepad and Wonder Woman crown, a young Christina, pictured in cap and gown, looks toward an audience invisible to the viewer. An older picture shows her laughing, pointing at herself auspiciously, dressed in a blue-length party dress. A DVD entitled Return to the Valley stands in the right corner of her memory box with a list of documentaries she made, a lifelong advocate for Japanese who were interned in World War II. A glass trophy engraved in 2003 takes center stage. As the musician ends his set in this hallway, a young couple open-mouthed sloths, see nothing around them, the intensity of a first kiss blurring out time and space. Where there is death, the living remain. An unearthly vocalization draws me away. I'm a moth here, fluttering towards sound and light and air. A circle of 10 singers sing ah. A pink handout tells me that this is the Heart Chant by Pauline Oliveros, performed by the Cornelius Cardew Choir and willing audience members. Instructions follow. Warm your hands by rubbing them together. Place your right hand over your heart and place your left hand on your back, behind your heart, and sing ah on any pitch that will resonate your heart. Ah.